I didn't realize that the story of Ip Man was a love story too, on top of being a story about martial arts. But I guess that's, when you do a Wong Kar-wai film, that's something you have to expect. Can you talk a little bit about just some of the research you did to play this part, both just his history as well as the physical training that you had to do? I understand you went for quite a while training for this film. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I started training like a year before shooting. And before the physical training, Kar-wai gave me some books about the martial arts novel in the New Republic period to let me try to understand some tradition and culture of the martial arts circle in that period of time. And after that, he asked me to study Bruce Lee, and I have no idea why. He showed me a lot of Bruce Lee movies and books about Bruce Lee. And he asked me to merge Bruce Lee into this Ip Man character. And I said, okay, I try. I cannot fight like that. But that was really important to me. After almost like half a year of studying Bruce Lee books, because Bruce Lee left us a lot of books about his understanding of Kung Fu and his knowledge of Kung Fu and his vision in Kung Fu. And after studying from his books, I finally know Kung Fu is not just physical training or scientific method of self-defense. It is also the way of training your mind as well as the way of life. There's a spiritual side of Kung Fu that I never know before. I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9. And I only know him as an action hero. And I know Ip Man because of Bruce Lee. And I never have a chance to learn Kung Fu because I was not allowed, because my mother used to say, there's only 2 kinds of people who will learn Kung Fu: policeman and gangster. because that's their concept of Kung Fu. It's only fighting techniques. But after I studied from Bruce Lee, I know there's something more than that. So I think this really helps me to build up the confidence as a Kung Fu master. Because to have the look of the Kung Fu master is easy. You just need to practice all the basic moves to Kung Fu, and you practice it like 2 or 3 years, then you have the look of the Kung Fu grade. But what I want to show, to portray this time, is not just the physical look, but also the soul, the mind. What in their mind, what they know about Kung Fu, how they understand Kung Fu, why they understand Kung Fu that way. So the study of Bruce Lee really helps me a lot. And finally, to Ip Man, because we don't have any information about this Kung Fu legend before he settled down in Hong Kong. No one knows how his life is in China. We only have very little information about him. He brought up in a very rich family and have no worries before his life of 40s. So no one knows. So maybe I can. So I know why Kar-wai asked me to merge Bruce Lee character into this character. Because no one knows what Ip Man looks like. So maybe he can look like a young, charismatic, a confident, a little bit playful Bruce Lee. Ip Man can look like that. And what we have a lot of information is after Ip Man settled down in Hong Kong. After the war broke out, he go to Hong Kong and he lived a very, very difficult life. I learned a lot from that about him from my Kung Fu master. My Kung Fu master is his student. And Kar-wai, our director, also do a lot of research from this Grandmaster's son. And he's still living in Hong Kong. And he lived a very difficult life. He don't even have a blanket in the winter times. And before he passed away, 3 days he passed away, he's still doing a demonstration of the Wooden Man form, which is a very typical practice for Wing Chun. It's a very important set for Wing Chun. And how can you imagine a man born from a wealthy family, lost everything after 40 and lead a life like that? And when I saw the picture of him, he don't look like a Kung Fu man. He has the qualities of, he's very graceful and erudite and very refined. He looks like a scholar. And I can still see the dignity from his eyes, from all the pictures. He still wears a smile. And I was wondering, how can a person live a life like that and still have that kind of look in the picture? I think this person is very amazing. So I try to discover this man in this movie, try to experience his life. And Wong Kar-wai said, yeah, because he is optimistic. I said, no, not just optimistic. I think Kung Fu might inspire him the way of life. Because in this 4,000-year history of this art of combat, the Kung Fu go through many stages. And during this transformation, it was greatly influenced by Chinese philosophy, the Taoism, the Zen, and the I Ching. So this is not just fighting techniques. There's a lot of Chinese ancient wisdom in it, Chinese philosophy.
I was going to say, I don't think